Hi, ladies. Good evening. Welcome to day three, the third and final day of the Inner Critic Buster. I'm hoping that tonight will start much more smoothly than it did last night. And I'm really looking forward to our final day of the challenge. I'd love to have you guys pop in and say hello. Let me know who's there, who's watching. And I'm looking forward to getting started. The first thing I'd like to share before we really get started is about my post that I did today a couple hours ago about this not yesterday not being the best live that I've ever done. And why am I sharing this? Because if I'm going to talk about how to bust the inner critic, I want to share my experience with living with the inner critic in the moment. So, as you all know, last night was not the best live I've ever done. Statistically speaking, I haven't done that many, so it's a pretty large percentage of the lives that I've done. But a lot of things went wrong. Um, First, I thought I had figured out this way to share the slides with you all and be able to talk to you and see if people were commenting, and that didn't work. And also, you guys were seeing my Canva page and not the slides that I wanted you to see. So I had to start over three different times, and it really, really left me for a loop. I was having a really hard time. And I was, listening to my voice during the live and after the live, and I was really being hard on myself, like, how could I do this? Why did I mess up? Etc. Etc. And I just started thinking, like, okay, isn't this what the inner critic buster is all about? Not it's about not having this voice, or not about not having the voice. It's about being aware of what this voice is saying and not giving into it. Hi, Lauren. How are you? How was your day? How's that sweet little baby of yours? Hope she's doing well. Um, so I just wanted to share my own inner process with you from last night. And I realized a couple of things, like I wrote in the post, that number one, um, you should always eat dinner before you do a live event on Facebook. Number two, after you do the live event, do not make cookies your dinner. Number three, remember that I'm human. And number four, probably shouldn't do a live after you make a little l'chaim for your daughter who just got engaged. And number five, don't drive your son back to yeshiva, which is 45 minutes each way at 10:30 at night. So my inner critic had lots of prime, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Fertile ground to really let itself be known, because my defenses and my strength was already really depleted. But I wanted to share that because if I'm going to help you all work on busting your inner critic, then I need to show you how I'm working on busting my inner critic. So while it was not an intended lesson, I just wanted to share it with you because I think it was really powerful. At least it was powerful for me. So let's get on to today's third and final day. I want to remind everyone about the prizes. The EFT tapping session with Pearl Opian, a bottle of Alleviate CBD tincture, and a 30-minute phone consultation with Find Your Style with Tippy from Tippy Goldstein. The way you can be eligible for one of the prizes is to participate in every day live video, either by commenting during the live or during the replay, and also doing the homework that I post in the group. So that's how you guys can win the prizes. I'm going to be announcing the prizes tomorrow night. Is it tomorrow night? Yes, tomorrow night. And so you still have a chance to win. Just let me know that you watch the videos. They're all recorded, and oh, hi Elisheva. Thanks for letting me know that you're here. Um, I have been posting the videos on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel now. It's very exciting. So you can watch the videos there and then send me an email at, you can either post it, you can either send me a direct message in the group, you could send me a direct message um, on Facebook, or you can email me. I'm going to put down my email address. Jewish women becoming shalom at gmail.com. So that's another way that you can send me a message, and I check these things fairly frequently. So I would love to hear from you all and let me know what you thought of this experience, what else you might want to learn. Okay, so let's get started with today's thing. So what's the challenge for today? The challenge for today is to understand what is a firefighter versus a manager. We've talked about these different parts, how they're related to the inner critic, and understand how when something happens, how that how your mind kind of like swirls all around this and how you sometimes can get lost. So I let's get started with let me just do a quick review over what we discussed yesterday, and then we can move forward. I'm just trying to see if I can download something for you, so you guys can see what I'm talking about, because it's a pretty good image that I think will help you guys understand what it is that I'm trying to talk about. Okay, so let's get started. So the review, let's talk about what happened, what we talked about the last couple of days. So the first day we talked about the protectors, right? Their intention is to avoid painful feelings. Usually they're trying to help you avoid the pain of an exile, which is like the deep um, feelings from a childhood, the trauma that we've all faced as a child. The protector is a part, it could be a manager or a firefighter. And then we also discussed the cues that we sometimes feel, like our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. So to give you an example, the the thoughts that I had last night when my live was not going well was, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. Why am I doing this? I can't do this. My feelings were one of nervousness and anxiety, and I felt it like in my stomach, and I felt it in my chest, and I was feeling kind of sad and a little, and not just a little defeated. I was feeling pretty defeated actually. Um, so that was the way I experienced my inner critic in all different ways. So today we're going to talk about dissecting the inner critic, right? We've been kind of like talking around it, and tonight we're going to talk about dissecting it. What does that mean? So, if you were ever in biology class in high school and you had like a dead frog that you had to dissect, what do you do when you dissect a frog? Like you open it up and you look at all of its body parts and what it's made of, right? Like what makes it a frog. So tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes the inner critic. And there's a few questions that you should be asking yourself when you um, feel this inner critic. And it's understanding whose voice it is, understanding whose whose message it is, and also being curious about it, which will tell you so much more about it. If you understand, let's go into the number one, dissecting the inner critic, okay? If you understand whose voice it is that's being critical, it helps so much more, because so often this voice, even though it might feel like your voice, it's really not your voice. It's a message that somebody else gave you at some point in your life, and you've absorbed it as it being your truth. And understanding the message, understanding whose message was it? Was it a parent, a teacher, a friend, something you learned on TV or a movie or you saw in the neighborhood? The message is almost always an external thing that we've absorbed, and our inner critic has taken it on and made it its way of communicating. And another way to understand it is to like just sit with it and be curious. And people are kind of like, what do you mean? I sit with it all the time. I'm living with this inner critic like all the time. And what I'm trying to say is that when you sit with it and you're curious in a non-judgmental way, you can find out so much more about it. Like there's so much more that this inner critic could tell you if you actually just want to know what it has to say to you. Because how often does this inner critic ever get really, really listened to, really heard? So we're going to talk about that a little bit right now, just to give you guys an idea of what to do when this inner critic when this inner critic comes up. So, number one second, my computer just flipped out. So, let's talk about what to do when this inner critic comes up and how you can really dissect it and understand it. So, I kind of shared my experience from last night with you. I can go through it point by point so you'll have a better understanding of what it was. So, I had this thing happen with my live and it wasn't going well the way that I wanted. So, what happened? I started once I was able to understand whose voice it was, and it was the voice of lots of other critical people in my life. And it was the message of maybe they didn't think that I could do it. But when I sat with it after and I was curious about it, I learned a lot of things. I learned that it wasn't the belief about myself, it was beliefs that other people had of me. And I realized that I didn't have to hold those beliefs for myself. Now, I've done a lot of work with the inner critic and I've done a lot of work with this type of thing. So I'm making it sound very like snap, snap, quick, quick, it happens. And I am simplifying it a little bit, but I'm telling you all this because I truly know and believe that this is something that you can all eventually do. So I want to backtrack a little bit now and I want to talk about firefighters and managers. Like we've been talking about them a lot. And I just wanted to go over what they were and how they impact your life. So, a firefighter is a part that feels the pain of the exile, like those deep-seated wounds from our childhood, and they're constantly trying to help you avoid experiencing the pain of the exile. So like let's think about like last night, right? If I was feeling very ashamed because of the way the live went, maybe I would have gone home and eaten like 3 bars of chocolate, right? That's a firefighter because then I can then focus on feeling sick and then be upset with myself for eating stuff I didn't really want to eat rather than work with the pain or the shame of not doing something the way that I wanted to do it. Hi, Rena. How are you? Glad to see you again. Glad you're here. So that's how a fighter works. Like here is this pain, this sadness that I feel that something didn't go well. Um, and because that's really hard for me to deal with, I'm going to do something else to to distract me. So if I eat like 5 bars of chocolate, then I could no longer just worry about being upset about not doing the live well. I could now focus on the fact that I ate 5 chocolate bars and I'm feeling really gross. And one of the things about these types of firefighters is that it's so like hyper focused on what it's trying to do, which is in this case distract me from the feelings of sadness or shame about not doing this live well. Um, so it's trying to distract me. So it's like, okay, we're going to create a different problem, but that different problem doesn't really help me. In fact, it makes everything worse. But since it can't see that this could happen, like creating a new problem could, yes, it distracts me from the original one, but it's also going to make things worse. It's not able to see that. It's just like, okay, protect, protect, protect. Versus a manager, which are the parts which are more managerial, obviously manager, but they're responsible for like the day-to-day schedule of your life, or they're kind of like they help you with making sure that you're managing the emotions that are going on in your life, you're managing all the responsibilities you have in your life, and also managing all the issues that you have that you're dealing with in your life. So like let's say in terms of this live from yesterday, so the manager might have said, okay, you know what, you're really bummed and you want to eat some chocolate, so here is a bar of chocolate, or here is 3 squares of chocolate, right? Rather than totally binging and distracting myself with it. It's like, okay, you know what? I want a little bit of chocolate. Great. I feel better now. Also, today my manager was like, okay, you know what? Like doing a live without eating dinner, not a good idea. So I made sure that I ate dinner before I started the live. So that's the way a manager works. And the biggest difference between the manager and the firefighter is that the firefighter is reactive to something that happens versus the manager, which is proactive, right? So last night I was reactive by eating all those cookies and, just distracting myself that way. Versus today I was like, okay, I'm going to eat something and I'm going to make sure I have a healthy dinner so I don't have the same thing that happened before happen again. Does anybody have any questions? How is this sitting with all of you? I'm just really curious. Um, how this is sitting with you, what your thoughts are. Please feel free to share. I'm really anxious to hear from everybody. So let's get into this idea of um, how a chain reaction happens. Now I'm going to try to do something. I hope that it works. I'm going to try to upload a photo on a different in a different window instead of while I'm talking to you. Okay, this is going to be pretty cool. Hopefully it'll be pretty cool. Okay, 1 second. Let me see if I can open it. Hold on. Is it working? I don't know if it's working. Well, okay. Okay, it's going to work in just a second. I'm waiting to hear if anybody has any questions for me. Does anybody have any questions, any thoughts about what I'm saying? It's a little bit esoteric, so I don't know, if I'm able to give it over to you in a way that is easy to understand on this live. I am going to be having a 4-week series coming up, Bezrat Hashem, where I'm going to dive into all of these things much deeper, and there's going to be much more interaction between me and the group. It's going to be on Zoom. It's going to be a weekly thing, and I think it's going to really help people really get into um, these issues with the inner critic and all of the parts. So here, while I'm talking to you, I'm going to try to download this slide. I hope you guys can see it. It's in a different post. Please let me know if you can see it. But if you look, there's a picture of a woman, and around her it says event, thought, reaction, intention, result. Now this is like the chain reaction of how our minds work, right? Here's this woman, she's sitting in the middle, she has her head in her hands, and she's obviously feeling very overwhelmed. What's going on? Let's say it started with an event, okay? Let's go back to my live from last night. That seems to be a real easy one for us to tap on. But the event was that I was doing this live, and the thought was, okay, this is not going well, right? This thought was like, okay, this is not happening the way I want it to happen. So my reaction was like panic a little bit, like, oh my goodness, I can't do anything right. This is like, what's wrong with me? I should have prepared better. There was I was berating myself. I was critical with myself. And so my intention was to like, okay, I have to like get myself together. I have to like pull it together and do a good job. So that was the intention. But the critic masked that and kept me flustered. So I kind of stumbled through it. And the result was that I walked away not feeling so great about the live. Now I have it in a certain order there, but really it could go around in any direction. It could be the result, which then triggers an event, which then triggers a reaction, which then triggers a thought, which then has the intention. Like it doesn't have to be in a clockwise or counterclockwise way. This was just a way for me to um, put it in a have you guys be able to visualize what it is. And the next one I'm going to post is a very it's like a whoa, this is very busy. Hope you guys can all see it. Oh, you don't see a slide, Rena? Maybe you should scroll up because there is a slide there. I just posted it and I can see it while I'm on the live. Try again. If not, I'm going to download it again after the live. But it's the same thing with like the woman, the face, right? But this is examples. Okay, I just gave an example. I'm gonna try to do another one that maybe everyone can relate to a little bit differently or better. So the event is your husband says something insensitive, right? And if you guys can see the slide, let me know if you guys can see the slide. Can you guys scroll up and see if you see the slide? Well, there's an event, right? Your husband says something insensitive, so you have a reaction that you cry, you yell, you stonewall, you shut down. The result is you don't connect with him when you really need it. And the intention is, okay, I need to protect myself from getting hurt. And then there's a thought, how could he have done that? And then the emotion is sadness, anger, frustration, feeling isolated, which, could connect to an event that your husband says something insensitive, or you're feeling this way first. So maybe your husband says something back to you initiates a conversation with you that you feel is insensitive. Let me know if you guys can see the slide. Oh, good, Rena, you see it now. Do you see both of them? Because I think that the second one is a really good visualization of what happens in our mind with our parts and how the critic really influences all of these different thoughts, intentions, results, reaction, emotions. Like it's all connected. And in my 4-week course that I'm going to be offering starting in a week and a half, I'm going to really delve into all of this and help you guys really understand how this really all comes together. But for now, what do we do? Right? Let's talk about like this reaction that we have, right? In this slide of the woman with her husband says something insensitive. Her reaction is like, "Whoa, he doesn't care about me." And that's okay, that reaction, but that's a reaction, it's not a response. Okay, what's the difference between a reaction and a response? A reaction is kind of like this knee jerk, you know, he says black and you say white, and there's no thought to it. A response is, okay, he comes home, he says something insensitive. How do I want to respond to that? Do I want to say, that wasn't nice? Do I want to say, you hurt my feelings? Do I want to say, what's going on? Why did you have a bad day? That might be a response. A reaction is, you don't care about me. Everything you say is horrible. Um, why don't you love me? Blah, 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 blah. Actually, somebody actually WhatsApped me a really great um, meme today. I'm trying to find it because I really love it, and I think that it's going to be really powerful for you guys. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see 1 second. Sorry. Hold on. Ah, here, I'm going to type it up for you guys because I really love this. Lauren, can you see the slides now? Did I reload? Okay, so it says explain your anger instead of expressing it, and you will immediately, oh, what does it say here? Open the door, oops, door to solutions instead of arguments. Okay, I'm just typing it out again. I'm going to say it again. Explain your anger instead of expressing it, and you will immediately open the door to solutions instead of arguments. That really touches on the slide that I just put in. Your husband, what is her intention, right? What is this woman's intention? She needs to protect herself, but really what she needs is that she needs to connect with him because she's feeling vulnerable, and he probably needs to connect with her even though he said something insensitive. When people do something like this that doesn't feel good, it's almost always because of a vulnerability that people are not feeling safe to express. So I really love this comment, this meme, and let me say Lauren likes it too. Anybody else? Anybody have any thoughts about this as they see it? It's really powerful. It's really, really powerful. I was actually going to post it tomorrow in the group, but now I don't need to. It's here already. So again, like it's sitting with reaction, getting to know it. What's the reaction? Of course, my husband says something that's upsetting to me. I'm going to react that way. But stopping and saying, okay, what's the intention here? The intention is to protect myself. I'm not feeling close to him, but maybe he needs me to reach out to him. I'm not saying you should tolerate um, abusive behavior from your husband. I'm talking about just like a normal, like husband comes home or wife comes home and they're in a bad mood and they might say something. It's just stopping, taking a step back, and sitting and just allowing yourself to really just be curious from a calm point of view. And the way you can get there is by separating your reaction from the intention, right? So the reaction, let's say with the story with that slide where the husband comes home and says something not so nice, and the woman lashes out. So what happens? The intention is to protect yourself, right? So the reaction is, I'm going to lash out back at him. But why do you need to protect yourself? Because you're feeling vulnerable. So what could be different? Husband comes home, says something not so nice, and your intention is to protect yourself, but how can you do it in a responsive kind of way? Maybe saying something like, well, honey, I'm sorry you are in a bad mood. Would you like a drink? Or should I give you your space? I'm not feeling very good right now about what just happened. Being able to express it rather than react. Because when you react, it just kind of like continues the whole chain reaction. So, and then compassion towards the reaction, being calm in the face of the reaction can lead to achieving the intention, right? That's a really important point that I've been speaking about, kind of talking around it. But when you feel compassion towards the reaction, if you feel compassion towards, being upset that your husband wasn't so nice to you, or being upset that the live didn't go well, if I'm compassionate towards it and saying, okay, I understand it, and I can be calm in the face of it, then I can get the intention that I want. So last night with the live, okay, I got to a place where I could feel compassion. I got to a place where I was feeling calm. So what was my intention? My intention was that tonight would be a better live. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? Anybody have any similar experiences? And then the homework for tonight is, this is the last homework, is what is your inner critic really afraid of? Let's hear what that inner critic is really afraid of, and how you can learn how to do something different so it doesn't have to be afraid. And this has all just been a taste of my longer course that's going to be released next week, which I'm super, super, super excited about. Where I'm going to go into much deeper about how to really get to know the inner critic, how to understand it, how to work with it, and by learning about all the other parts and all the other ways our brain deals with these feelings. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of information coming out, and I'm really, really excited to share it with all of you. So please drop a post in the comments, either replay or from now. And I look forward to reading your homework. And if you missed this one, you can just click. There'll be a link to the replay on YouTube. Bye.